Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today we will be reviewing fitness YouTuber and influencer Sami Clarke. Okay, so first let me tell you about my sponsor, Ava's Manor, which is free to download using my link below. Ava's Manor is a mobile game available through Google Play or the Apple App Store. It's got a bunch of levels of solitaire tri-peaks to earn stars, which are used to progress through the story and to renovate and decorate the rundown manor. If you're into interior decorating without the crazy expenses, it's really fun to pick out all the decor and furniture in the house and the gardens and then personalize the space with your own style. When you just want to unwind after a long day, I find it's a nice change from mindlessly scrolling online, and I actually find I get a lot of really great interior design inspiration as well. I find the puzzles are challenging enough to keep you stimulated without being overwhelming and frustrating. So now you get to work both your left brain and your right brain at the same time. So if you want to learn more about Ava's Manor and download it for free, check out the link in the description below. Now, as always, you can pause the screen or look at the description to check out my disclaimer, including a trigger warning to those with previous or current experiences with disordered eating. I will, as always, be talking about calories and macros, so of course, feel free to skip that portion if it isn't supportive to your journey. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring that little bell so that you never miss out on an episode. And as always, a heads up, I'm filming this ahead, so this is the most recent what I eat in a day on Sami's channel at the time of filming. But of course, it may not be an up-to-date example of her diet. So as always, use this more as teachable material for the general population, not necessarily specific to Sami right now, today. All right. Let's get into it.
1 cup of water and a half a cup of oat milk, a half a cup of gluten-free quick oats, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I'm gonna chop up some bananas while I wait.
Okay, so this looks delicious. We've got a good solid amount of energizing carbs and fiber in the oats and banana. Plus we've got some protein and fat in the hemp hearts and peanut butter. And we've got chocolate. And if that is what gets you out of bed in the morning, I am here for it. Now for a pre-workout meal, this is literally perfection to me. And I'm sure it's a pretty satiating breakfast as well. Let's see what's next.
For my smoothie, I'm gonna do blueberries, add a dash of some almond milk. I'm also gonna add some vanilla protein powder, a handful of frozen spinach.
Okay, so that looks like a great post-workout snack or smoothie. We've got protein in the protein powder and collagen powder and carbs in the blueberries and banana. Now, I've got no clue what brand of collagen she's using, so this could vary a lot, but I would say that the combination of protein powder and the collagen powder together, possible overkill. Now, while we do have some emerging research to support the use of collagen powder for skin, hair, joint health, and bone health, a lot of these benefits would be found from adequate protein from any source, so like her protein powder. In other words, our collagen needs can be made in-house from the amino acids in the protein powder and vitamin C in the produce in her smoothie. Now, this smoothie also comes out to almost 40 grams of protein and about an equal amount of carbs. So I'm not denying that getting in that extra protein can definitely help promote satiety and also just help Sami get in enough total calories for the day. But when we talk about sports nutrition and post-workout fuel, we would ideally want to see a greater emphasis on carbs. So maybe throwing in another banana or some oats, or pairing this with a slice of toast. We also ideally want to spread that protein out more evenly for maximal muscle protein synthesis. Now, most of the literature suggests around 20 to 30 grams max at a time, and there's obviously a lot of variables at play. Having said that, Sami did say that she usually has her collagen in the morning with her coffee, which I agree would probably be a better way to space things out in an ideal world. But this is super nitpicking, and I'm only saying this because she is a fitness influencer, and obviously I would assume that sports nutrition is important to her. Let's see what's next.
Protein powders is something that I have struggled with trying to find because they can be really harsh on your digestive system. I would bloat really, really bad, or I would get insane stomach aches. These are my brands right now that I love that do not give me a stomach ache and really are clean. One is one called New Zest. That one is a little bit of a cleaner taste. You do have to add more sweeteners to cover up the taste, if that makes sense. Two is a protein powder called High Protein, HI. It's so clean that I wish there was a little bit more sweetness to it. And then we will see how this one goes. It is a whey protein. He was saying how he concentrates it out, that he strained it all, that there's no dairy actually in this product. So it's dairy free. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so I don't love the whole clean rhetoric, obviously, but I assume she just means it has fewer ingredients like artificial sweeteners and flavors and colors, etc., as it sounds like she has a sensitive gut. Now, later on in this video, she does an update and she says that this particular protein powder that she's using, which is a whey protein isolate powder, didn't upset her stomach like other whey protein powders have. Now, she does a pretty good job explaining why this is, but in case it's unclear to anyone, I actually have a whole video unpacking different protein powder options right here. But in short, whey protein comes from dairy and it's bound up with some lactose and fat. Now, whey protein isolate is refined more aggressively than whey protein concentrate, which is the cheaper option. And as a result, it's slightly lower in lactose and higher in protein. Now, I can't speak to this particular brand that she's using because at the time of filming, there was actually no information on their website about it. But generally speaking, whey isolate has around 23 grams of protein and up to 1 gram of lactose per serving, while whey concentrate has about 18 grams of protein and up to 3.5 grams of lactose per serving. So while Sami describes this protein powder as not containing dairy, it does contain dairy. It's actually made from dairy, but it has a very, very small amount of lactose in it, which may make it more tolerable if you're lactose intolerant, which it sounds like she might be.
If you're just starting out and trying to eat healthier, I would say have realistic goals is the biggest thing. One thing is to only try 1 to 2 new recipes a week. When looking for recipes, keep it simple. Like when you're looking them up on Pinterest or Instagram, find ones that the ingredient list is this big, not this big.
So I think these are really awesome, reasonable, and sustainable healthy eating tips. I think it's really easy to scroll through Instagram and feel super overwhelmed by influencers seemingly taking like 45 minutes to an hour to prepare an elaborate breakfast every day of the week. And you're over here being like, hey, I'm just happy if I ate anything at all. I see you. And you know, most days I am also just like struggling to cook meals from scratch. So I think setting a goal to try a new recipe and also a simple recipe is a really good, realistic place to start.
I made chickpea pasta and chickpeas. I didn't really connect the dots in there. I can't have gluten. I went with my chickpea, but I probably should have gone with like gluten-free mac and cheese. I'm gonna add them into the pot and let them heat. Take a handful of arugula, add some lemon, and slightly drizzle a little bit of nutritional yeast and some olive oil. And I'm gonna add this pesto sauce.
Okay, this looks so delicious. And yeah, even she picked up on the fact that she's having chickpeas on chickpeas, and that isn't the most varied option. But hey, like, that is okay. Not every meal needs to feature 20 different ingredients to be nutritious and balanced. It's really about the overall weekly or even monthly picture that matters more to me. So for folks who are cooking for 1 or 2, It doesn't often make financial sense to have a million different proteins and a million different vegetables and carbs in your fridge at any one time. So if you're doing batch meal prep to save time and money, my suggestion to promote variety would be to choose 1 or 2 different veggies, fruits, grains, and proteins to focus on each week, and then rotate week by week. As for the meal itself, you guys know I'm a big fan of chickpea pasta to, bump up that protein and fiber in a pasta meal. And this looks absolutely awesome to me. We've got protein and fiber in the chickpeas and the pasta, fat in the pesto and olive oil, plus veggies in the arugula. I also love the addition of nutritional yeast for that little bit of extra B12 and protein as well. Honestly, nothing I would change, so chickpea it up, girl. You guys know the drill. Your girl does not critique coffee, but also, even though I'm like halfway through my second coffee of the day, that looks really good right now.
But there was also like this one of my favorite restaurants called The Hive. I was like, okay, I kind of want to try the bone broth, and I have not tried like drinking bone broth. And you guys, it is rough.
I truly appreciate when a wellness influencer straight up comes out and says, nope, to some kind of popular wellness trend. I also sometimes have a hard time wrapping my head around the flavor and texture of bone broth. I mean, sometimes I'm in the mood for it, but psychologically, it usually feels a bit like drinking super salty, savory tea. It's weird. I think if it had some texture to it with like noodles and veggies as you would in like a bowl of soup, I would totally be down. I don't know. I guess I have to be like really, really hungry and or freezing to want to drink it just on its own. Anyways, let's see what's for dinner.
Feeling extra lazy.
Perfection. This is textbook balanced meal, and I love how easy it was for her to put it together. So we've got protein and healthy fat in the salmon, fiber in the asparagus, and carbs in the rice. Also, like a week before I watched this video, I also started to do everything bagel asparagus like she did here, and it is one of my all-time favorite sides right now. So I am picking up what Sami is putting down. I also love the shortcut frozen cooked rice. I mean, in the name of simplifying meal times, I am all for incorporating at least one kitchen shortcut into every meal. So whether that's pre-bagged salad, a frozen side dish, rotisserie chicken, bottled salad dressing, whatever. If it helps you get a balanced meal on the table quickly, I think it's a good idea. I feel like all these influencers are low-key obsessed with this HU chocolate or HU chocolate. I'm not exactly sure how much Sami ate here, but in another video I watched of hers, she did say that she generally has like 1 square. So I guess if that is how she likes to end her meal, works for me. But for somebody who apparently struggled with acne, should Sami be having chocolate every single day? Well, as I discussed in my full video on the best and worst foods for acne right here, contrary to the popular belief, there's actually not a whole lot of good research to suggest that there's anything special about chocolate when it comes to acne risk. One review of the literature found a very weak association between chocolate and acne, but they also found a number of major flaws in the research study designs. Most significantly, that a lot of the studies to date have not controlled for the type of chocolate used in their experiment. And that's kind of important since we know that both sugar and dairy products can play a role in acne. And of course, milk chocolate candy bars are higher in both of these things compared to a high quality dark chocolate. So assuming that she's sticking to a good high cocoa content chocolate bar like the ones from HU, she's probably in the clear. So on that note, let's break down the stats. And of course, a trigger warning, I'm about to talk numbers, so please feel free to skip to the timestamp on the screen if this is triggering for you. So according to my calculations, Sami is consuming around 2,200 calories with 25% of calories from protein, 39% from carbs, and 36% from fat. And when I ran this day through the chronometer, I can't see that there was really anything problematic or missing, so it seems like she's pretty in tune with what her body needs. I might suggest a wee bit more carbs since she is so active in her job, but if this macro split feels good to her, it works for me. Let's talk about what I like here. Honestly, I like a lot. It's really nice to see a fitness influencer not chronically under eating, not explicitly restricting carbs, fats, or oils, not demonizing certain ingredients and foods, and not restricting whole food groups. It sounds like Sami has health reasons for limiting gluten and dairy in her diet, and it probably took some experimenting for her to come to a conclusion that removing them from her diet was what was gonna feel best for her. I also love that she is all about making healthy eating simple and sustainable. Her recipes are easy to follow, quick, and of course, outside of some of the supplements that she uses, which I don't think are excessive, she focuses on readily available whole food ingredients. Plus, everything looks super delicious and really well balanced. I mean, the girl clearly knows her stuff. In terms of gentle nutrition tips, I really would have to dig deep to come up with any major recommendations for Sami. Like I said, I think she really is very much in tune with her nutritional needs and also what feels good to her body and what doesn't. So if gluten and dairy are not working for her, whether that's for digestive issues or to manage her skin or past acne concerns, then I'm really just so glad that she found out what works for her. There are thankfully a lot of dairy-free and gluten-free options nowadays that can really prevent us from letting ourselves feel deprived or creating unnecessary nutritional gaps in our diet. And Sami seems to be getting enough fiber, B vitamins, calcium, carbs, and protein elsewhere in her diet, so I really see no harm in limiting or avoiding these foods. If I really wanted to get nitpicky, especially because she is a fitness influencer and athlete, I would just make sure that she's spacing her protein out throughout the day and getting enough carbs in that post-workout meal to really optimize recovery. Now, I want to close off by quickly speaking to Sami's relationship with food and any other little tidbits of information that I picked up on while watching a bunch of her videos. Now, in one Q&A video where she took viewers through a day in her life, Sami addresses a question about whether or not she does cheat meals. Let's take a look.
And then as far as like cheat meals, you could say, I don't really call them that, but meals that are not part of like maybe my healthier options, it really just matters the week. So it matters how many social events I have, but like I'm not thinking about, should I have that, say they had a bomb pizza with like vegan cheese and gluten-free bread, like I'm going for the pizza, you know? So it's like those times are the moments that I think you should enjoy yourself more than being so concerned. But that's why I'm 80-20, so throughout the week I'm really focusing on choosing those healthier options so that when the time comes to go to social events or you don't have the freedom to have exactly what you want, you don't feel as like, oh, dang it, because you've been crushing it through the week.
Okay, so I appreciate that Sami doesn't use the whole cheat meal language. As you guys know, that I just really feel that if we want to change our relationship with food, language ultimately does matter. And seeing our diet as something to be cheated on is usually a sign that it's unsustainable and unnecessarily restrictive. And while I don't think that we need to use explicit labels like 80-20, which I also just feel like is a bit of a food rule, I get that it's kind of just a colloquial term for balance. So I get what she means. Ultimately, Sami is a fitness influencer, so fueling her body with good nutrition is not only important for her own physical and emotional health, but also in a lot of ways for her livelihood as well. So it does make sense to me that she would want to prioritize nutrient-dense meals and snacks as often as she can. It sounds and looks like Sami aims to eat a nutrient-dense, balanced diet when she's got the physical capacity to manage that because, you know, maybe she's eating at home, and that when she goes out with friends or just feels like it, that she's not going to deny herself the pizza or whatever she feels like. She still sticks to being gluten-free and dairy-free and maybe choosing like a gluten-free, dairy-free pizza because, again, she's established that consuming those things doesn't feel good to her, but she's not stressing over calories or the macros in that meal. And a lot of people ask me if eating intuitively or finding food freedom is possible within the context of food restrictions like these? And I would say absolutely yes. If you've collected data and established that, hey, I get really bad gas when I eat dairy, so that isn't enjoyable to me, avoiding dairy would probably be the intuitive thing to do. But if you avoid all pizza, including dairy-free, gluten-free pizza, even though you really want it and you know that it would be an enjoyable experience for you, you run the very real risk of falling into scarcity mentality. I also want to quickly comment on her thoughts of having dessert.
How often do I have cheat meals? How often do I have dessert? Things of that sort. I have dessert every single day, but when I have dessert, every day is different, right? So one night it could be a piece of a chocolate bar that's 70% cacao. It matters the day, but really mostly, you guys see I love Air Pop popcorn, the brand Lesser Evil, and then I'll pair it with chocolate chips. So I'm always having a dessert, but it's just a healthier option.
Okay, so again, if this is truly what Sami is craving for dessert, then who am I to judge? I don't want to police people and say, hey, your desserts aren't unhealthy enough, because hey, it's a great thing to be craving veggies and hummus. When I was pregnant, I low-key only wanted to eat salad and fruit. And there was not even a single restrictive thought associated with it at all. It's just what I wanted. But I also think it's always worth doing a deep dive to ask yourself, is this what I really want? Or am I just choosing this because I think I should want it? Or because I had like 3 brownies yesterday and now I should be eating healthier? I just think that doing these little check-ins with yourself to gauge your intentions is really important for helping maintain a strong relationship with food. Now, I will say that I did hear Sami use the word clean a few times.
Cleaner, clean.
In this What I Eat in a Day video to describe like a simple ingredient list, which you know is language I don't love, but I also get that it's just so heavily ingrained in diet culture that it's hard to escape. I also saw in another video that she was talking about having celery juice and that she knows you're supposed to have juice on an empty stomach, but often doesn't just because she doesn't want to fire up the juicer so early in the morning. I mean, I'm glad she isn't obsessive about it to wake up her whole household for the sake of pseudoscience, but I will just say that no, you're not losing out on the nutritional benefits of celery juice, which, let's be real, are grossly overstated in wellness culture, by drinking it later on in the day. Most people use celery juice as a laxative first thing in the morning, the same way that, a lot of other people use coffee. But if you're consuming a balanced diet that's rich in water and fiber, as Sami does, you probably shouldn't need to rely on things like celery juice anyway. So if you really like celery juice for some reason, you can rest assured that you can drink it whenever you want. I also want to just mention that I watched Sami's video on her journey to healing her acne, and she did mention that one of the first professionals that she saw, who was a hormone specialist, as she called her, put her on a medication called spironolactone to help block the testosterone that was thought to be contributing to her acne. So spironolactone is actually often used for supporting transgender women because it helps lower one's natural testosterone levels. And Sami was quite transparent that it caused her to lose a ton of weight because it's also a known diuretic and it sucked the life out of her, as she said. Now, Sami did mention that this practitioner never even did a proper history or workup on Sami, or else she probably would have hopefully known that it wasn't a good option for her as a fitness professional. But then Sami suggested it was her fault for not doing more research herself on the medication before she took it. Now, I just have to say that it's really sad to me that Sami would blame herself for, the poor patient care that she received here. The onus really shouldn't be on the patient or client to have to do like a ton of research on any kind of medication or supplement to determine if it's right for them. We're not the doctors. So I think it's a really good reminder that if a healthcare provider is not asking a ton of questions before prescribing a medication or supplement, it may be time to seek out another opinion. And I'm not talking about the internet's opinion. I'm talking about finding another professional who understands your unique case. Please remember that if a product, whether that's a pharmaceutical product or a natural health supplement, has any impact on your body, it is not benign. And as a result, it therefore has the power to potentially cause harm. But ultimately, I'm so glad that Sami has found a solution for her acne that's working for her without causing undue harm. So with all of that said, I was pleasantly surprised by Sami's channel. Outside the clean eating language, I didn't hear a ton of demonizing of food, and outside of her health-related diet restrictions, I didn't see her cutting out or restricting foods. I also think her workouts look bomb, and she's just really pleasant to listen to and watch. So if you're looking for a fitness influencer that isn't grossly restricting, definitely give Sami's content a watch. Also, a big shout out to Ava's Manor for sponsoring this video again. Don't forget to check out the link in the description below if you want to download the game yourself. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. If you guys liked it, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below on who you would like to see me review next. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!